Today's guest is Dr. Kyle Wulfsohn, a homeopath from Durban, South Africa. He obtained his master's degree in homeopathy from the Durban University of Technology and then spent 6 months in India completing a master's course in Advanced Homeopathy from the Other Song Academy and Clinic. It's headed by the world-renowned homeopath and healer Dr. Rajan Sankaran, who has also been on this show. Since then, he has continued his homeopathic career in India, firstly interning at the Other Song Academy and then becoming involved in the organization and teaching of international courses in advanced homeopathic approaches to homeopaths from around the world. Along with the furthering of homeopathic education, he enjoys the clinical aspects of homeopathic practice, devoting much of his time to working at the Khula Natural Health Center, a rural clinic in Africa, as well as seeing patients in his private practice. He can be contacted through wolfyk@gmail.com. And to learn more about Khula, please visit www.khula.org. That's khula.org. And his email is wulfiek@gmail.com. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now my mum and your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangouts. Today, we speak with Dr. Kyle Wulfsohn, all the way from South Africa. Welcome, Kyle.
Thanks very much.
En ek het probeer 'n bietjie Afrikaans praat met jou, maar jy sê jy wil nie Afrikaans praat nie, so we'll keep it to English, right?
Yes, please. Thanks.
Awesome. So I'm from Cape Town originally, and obviously there's a bit more Afrikaans there, but I believe where you're from, there's a bit more, it's more English speaking, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I can understand, but I just embarrass myself when I speak it.
And regardless of what your first language is in South Africa, because there's, I think, is it 11 official languages, something like that. But hopefully you know all the good swear words, because we've got some great swear words in Afrikaans.
Yes, I know those.
You really do. Now, Kyle, can you tell our listeners a little bit about how you were first introduced to homeopathy?
Sure. It was sort of a lot of dumb luck, maybe, I think. I can't really work out how it happened, exactly why I studied it or that. But my mother had always gone to a homeopath when I was younger. So I sort of just knew it existed. It was just always there in the back of my mind. And I still can't really work out why I studied it. And I think it was just really good luck. Because what I knew about homeopathy and then what I was thinking that it was, and then once I started studying it was something completely different. And just luckily, I really loved it. It could have gone badly, I think.
That's really cool. Well, obviously you were meant to do it. Now, tell us a little bit, because the training in South Africa is actually very different to what, I studied in New Zealand, but your training is very different. And from what I understand, your first couple of years, you actually study alongside the medical students, because we've just realized before that Ruth Hull, who's been on the podcast twice now, she actually graduated a couple of years before you in South Africa. But tell us a little bit about the training in South Africa, because it is quite different to what we have over here.
It is quite an interesting system. I think it's closest to sort of the Indian university system. So you end up doing actually a master's degree in homeopathy, but you start off with like the first 3 years or so, you're doing the basic medical sciences. So you're doing all your anatomy, there's chemistry, biochem, physiology, all the sort of things that someone would do when they're studying medicine. So that's sort of the first 3 years. There's a very tiny bit of homeopathy. We do a bit of philosophy just to sort of keep you going. And then a bit later on, then they start bringing in things like materia medica and sort of auxiliary therapeutic. So I would say that it's very similar to studying medicine. The only thing is the interventions or the treatment that they then bring in from the homeopathic point of view. So it's a 5-year degree, but most people do it in 6 years, because you have to do your research and write a dissertation as well before you can qualify and then practice.
Amazing. And you come out as a doctor of homeopathy over there, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. And just something else, because I left when I was 17, which was many years ago. So these days, how are homeopaths perceived in South Africa? How easy is it to have access to homeopathic remedies there? Is any of it funded by the public healthcare systems or the private healthcare systems?
Mm. So it's quite interesting. South Africa is a unique place, I think, in quite a few regards. But just in terms of the perception, I don't think there are any problems. People are quite open. The main sort of obstacle is education. Most people actually don't know what homeopathy is.
Mm.
They just assume it's some sort of alternative system. That they're interested to try it and to hear about it, but the education isn't quite there. And then so that can lead to some sort of problems. They're buying over-the-counter products and they think that because it's natural,
Mm.
it's homeopathic. So there's some issues there. So it's mostly education, but I think there's a good future for homeopathy from that point. The public health system in South Africa is not great at all
Mm.
in terms of normal medicine as well. Anyway, so there's no public funding for that.
Mm.
But you can people who have their own private sort of medical aids, they can charge homeopathy towards that. So some medical aids do cover homeopathy. So that's good as well. And then sort of another aspect is just the scope of homeopathy in South Africa, sort of compared to maybe other countries.
Mm.
Because it's very good. We have a very good scope of practice. You know, we can diagnose and we can treat
Wow.
pretty much all conditions. So there's no real limitations on that, which I think that's the best part about it.
Oh my gosh, that really is, because, you know, you guys are head and shoulders above where Australia is at the moment, because the government took our ability away to be able to claim from our private healthcare for homeopathy on April Fool's Day, 1st of April, 2019.
Oh, no.
So, you know, of all the days, it was just such a punch in the guts. So we're not able to claim on our private healthcare funds anymore for homeopathy. And the crazy thing is nobody ever got a discount on their private healthcare. They kept on charging the same. And the other thing is that, you know, your scope of practice, the fact that you are able to diagnose, and, you know, that's really wonderful, because it obviously gives you access to treating so many advanced cases that we might not see otherwise. And
Yes.
as to access of remedies, how easy is it to get hold of remedies over there?
That's not the easiest thing. We do have a few sort of homeopathic pharmacies, but they mostly deal with homeopath. So to get a remedy, you generally have to know a homeopath, which, you know, it has some drawbacks, but there are also some good things about it. It should be more easily available, especially for the more educated about homeopathy. But it sort of stops some of over-the-counter issues where people just go and sort of self-medicate and then it doesn't help and then they give homeopathy up.
Yeah,
So
I hear you. It's a
bit of
double-edged
tight line.
sword, hey? Because you want to
Yeah.
empower people, but at the same time, if they're not using it correctly and not getting results, they're going to think that homeopathy is not working, when really it's probably just not the right remedy for them. Now, you also did some advanced training in homeopathy with the amazing Dr. Rajan Sankaran, who we've also had on the show. What was that like, and what made you decide to, you know, pack your bags and head over to India after, you know, after already studying 5 or 6 years, then going and doing more studying?
Yeah. Well, as I said, with coming to homeopathy, that was a bit of dumb luck. And then this also sort of worked out, you know, just the universe pushing me in that way.
Yeah.
Because the education system also is a bit difficult here. Everything takes, you know, 100 years, bureaucracy everywhere.
Yep. I do remember that part.
Yes. So I'd written my dissertation and I'd submitted it. But you can't practice until it's been marked and you graduate, obviously. But they just didn't mark it. It took forever, you know. I think I had submitted, and a year later, I hadn't heard a single thing about it. And I was probably a bit naive, and I just hadn't followed up. And then I said, you know, hey, what's going on? They said, oh, no, we're trying to find an examiner at that point. And I thought, oh, gosh, they haven't even found the examiner yet. So they haven't even started marking. So then at that point, I got a little bit panicked because I couldn't do anything, you know, I couldn't practice. I was just sitting around. I was reading all day. In the beginning, it was nice, but after a while, you know. So then I started to look around and say, you know, what can I do in the meantime? So I thought about different things. I thought maybe I'd go and do like Ayurveda or, you know, something just to add to what I already know. But then I thought, well, actually, I'm a homeopath. Maybe I should be a better homeopath first. And so I'd read all Dr. Sankaran's books. And in the books that they had mentioned, you know, the other Song Academy. So I had gone and I Googled it and looked it up. And I saw that they offered all these courses. So then I just emailed them and I said, hey, this is what I do. I would like to come. So then they gave me the options. And then I think a month later, I flew out to India. It was very, very sudden. It just happened very sort of spur of the moment.
Yeah.
And then I sort of landed in India the day before my 25th birthday. It was the first day of the monsoon. It was flooding. I landed in this place. It was just water up to your knees. And I thought,
Oh my
what have I
gosh. What
done?
have I done?
Yeah, but it worked out incredibly well, I think. Yeah.
That's incredible. And I mean, we all just love Dr. Rajan Sankaran. I've got a pile of his books over here as well. He is just such an inspiration. So how lucky for you to have been able to, work with him. How long was that training that you did?
So I did what they call the master course,
Mm-hmm.
which is 6 months. And it's honestly an amazing experience because it's so much more than just, learning from Dr. Sankaran. It's obviously just inculcates his whole sort of journey and that,
Mm,
and you meet so many other people. There's so many amazing teachers at the other song
mm,
that you really get so much exposure. And to the fundamentals, I went there thinking, okay, I'm going to learn, this high level of sensation homeopathy.
yeah.
But the thing that really sort of grabbed me once I first got there was just the fundamentals. We learned about so many different things that I'd heard of and stuff, but we didn't really go so in depth at
Mm,
university here.
mm.
So that was really incredible.
That's beautiful. And how did it then happen? Because you were still involved with the other song and with Dr. Rajan Sankaran, because after I interviewed him, I asked about, this master training and stuff that he's doing. And then he CC'd you and he said, well, get in touch with Kyle. He's the one that's got all the information on this. And so how did you then, stick around and become involved with the academy? And what part of all that do you handle?
Yes. Well, so then there was more dumb luck along the way. Um,
I'm
so
sensing a theme here.
yes, yes, definitely. So towards the end of that 6 months of the course, I was just loving it there. Obviously, they'd eventually marked my dissertation,
Good.
so I was qualified. But I thought, oh, I'm not ready to come back yet. There's just still so much that I want to do and learn. So from the master's course, what they generally do at the other song is they would select sort of two students to do an internship then. So they like two floors basically at the other. There were two floors at the other song. There was the 10th floor where they did all the 8th floor where they did all the teaching, and then on the top they had the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
So mostly when I was doing the course, I was just doing all the lecturing and that. But then I asked them if they would let me be part of this internship, if they would consider me. So they spoke about it and then they said, okay, we'd like to have you. If you want to stay, we can find a place for you.
Wow.
So then I stayed on and I did my internship there. So then I was basically in the clinic for 6 months. But towards the end of that, COVID happened. And so I was there and actually also you meant to have 6 months on your passport from the end of your travel or
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the ticket. But they actually just let me through. I think I had maybe 3 months, like it was very close. And then, I don't know why they let me through, but it
Dumb
was an
luck.
accident. Yeah. So then while I was there, during COVID, my passport expired and my visa
Oh,
expired.
oh my God. And trying
And I
to
was
get a
just sort
South
of
African
stuck.
passport renewed is that's nightmare.
Yes. But actually, I didn't try very hard, I must be honest.
Okay.
I was quite happy. I was really enjoying where I was staying. Um, I was just loving it. So I got really involved then during COVID because there was all this other stuff that was going on.
Of course.
They were asking me to help out with this, with that. And then suddenly, because Dr. Sankaran couldn't travel, various groups had asked him if he would do like Zoom teaching.
Mm.
So we had been sort of interacting a bit towards the end of that period. So then he said to me, would you like to help? You can organize and set the curriculum and do that. So then that's how I sort of snuck into that
Wow.
avenue then. Yeah.
Amazing. And What is it about this, empowering homeopaths to be better prescribers that gets you excited? Because, or maybe it doesn't, maybe you were just thrown into it, but I think you mentioned before that it is something that you are quite passionate about, is actually helping homeopaths be better homeopaths. What is it that you enjoy about it? And tell us a little bit more about your work there.
I think there is a portion that's slightly selfish. I must admit that I really want to be better in education. So the more courses we do, the more I learn.
Oh, of course.
Because I get a front row seat.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the
So,
podcast. And part of this is selfish. I get to hang out with cool people and talk about things I'm interested in. So yeah.
Well, I think all life is sort of give and take. The more you give, the more you take as well.
Yeah.
It's quite equal. So
Absolutely.
there's that aspect where I really enjoy organizing, because then I get to learn.
Yeah.
And then I also find that when they're learning more, then I learn more. So I think that the better standard of homeopathy that we have around the world can only make me better as well. And sort of just if we all bring ourselves up in some way like that. So I really enjoy that aspect. And then also getting involved in the teaching, that also makes me better, because when you have to explain something, it's much, you really learn when you have to go through it so that you're able to sort of impart something.
Oh, I absolutely
so that
agree.
aspect.
If you want to learn something, teach it. Like that is actually the best way to learn something. I completely agree. And it's actually funny because I interviewed Christophe Meville from Buron this morning, and he literally said exactly the same thing, because he's worked there for 30 years and he's the head of education there. And he was like, if you want to learn something, go out and teach it. Yeah, incredible. And are you able to tell our listeners a little bit more about the program itself? Like what sort of things people will be learning in the program?
So what we actually do is we do a lot of different webinars for different groups. So we have sort of different levels and different needs that people are having. But sort of one of the main aspects of these webinars that we do is live cases. So we actually take a case on Zoom. Dr. Sankaran will take the case. The patient will come on and he takes the case in front of you. Everyone's sitting there watching.
Wow.
And then,
pressure.
Afterwards we'll... Well, that's the whole education system at the other song in India. When you go there, it's all case-based learning. So it's just live cases, and then video cases when they need them. But the main aspect is the live case. So you just watch them, just take cases all day. And it's honestly the best way to learn is to see someone, put it into practice. And it's very spontaneous, anything can happen, any remedy can come up. It's more exciting as well, I think.
Absolutely.
So that's sort of the main sort of thing that we do. And then obviously depending on the skill level of the group, we sort of base the explanation and the analysis on that a little bit. So they're different ones. We have groups everywhere. And some people I know, all these people who communicate with me about these things, they all attend, literally every group. They'll say, oh, when's the next webinar for a different group? And they come and they attend, because there's just so much to take away from. It's really incredible.
How cool. Now, it seems that eventually you did make it back to South Africa, because you're in Durban at the moment, right? So how did your journey lead you back home?
Well, eventually I had to get a new passport, because I was worried then I might be sort of kicked out and never to return to India. And that's my ultimate goal, is to get back there.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to upset anyone. So I did get my passport, and then eventually I managed to get out. But I sort of got my foot in the door at that point, so I was okay to leave.
So you're good to go then. Amazing.
Yes, yeah. So then, so now I'm back in South Africa at the moment. It's another bureaucratic nightmare getting a passport here, because I got an interim one in India. It took me forever to get one here, but I've got one now. And so I've sort of just been doing a lot of this webinar work from here, luckily, because of COVID, it changed a lot of things. And so I'm able to work from here for now. But I will be heading back at the end of the year. We will be doing more cases there and that sort of thing.
Oh, amazing. And is the other song located at that beautiful resorty type place that he has? I forget what it's called now. There is a center that he's got there that he does the in-person.
Oh, Sampurnam Healing.
Yes,
No,
that's
so,
the one.
yes. So the other song is in Mumbai. So for example, in January, we're going to be doing an in-person course. So people will come out and we'll have 9 days of just live cases, the whole day, just cases. for 9 days. And then after that, we'll go on the retreat to the center.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll do all the wise processes and meditation and talks and all those things.
I think that's what he was mentioning in the interview. I just did research about wanting to go, but my kiddies are still 10 and 7. And my husband's actually in South Africa at the moment on holiday, and he's away for 2 weeks. And I'm thinking, I'm missing him so much. I can't imagine being away from my kids for 2 weeks. So I think I'm going to wait just a couple more years until they're a little bit older, and then I will be joining you over there in India. So right now we're going to take a quick little break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to be talking about the Khula Natural Health Center. And we're back from the break, and we are going to be chatting about the Khula Natural Health Center. It's a rural clinic there in Africa. Now, Kyle, when did the center start? How did you become involved? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes. So initially I'd sort of made contact with them because before I decided to go to India, I was sort of sitting around. And then so I'd heard about the Khula Center because they were taking sort of interns, and they were asking for volunteers to go there and help out. So I had contacted them at that point and said, hey, would it be okay for me? I'm not fully qualified, but I'm still sort of under the university clinic. Could I come and sort of see patients there? And then they said, yes, please, we'd love to have you. But then as that happened, I got my sort of India stuff together. And so then I went off and I said, look, sorry, I'm not going to do that. And then they would stay in contact with me while I was in India, like, hi, are you back here?
Yeah.
Then you come, I said, oh, sorry, I'm still away. And then eventually I came back to South Africa, and then I messaged them. I said, hey, I'm back here. I would really love to come out to Khula. And then so it sort of worked out from that point. Just to explain what Khula is, it's a non-profit organization that we have up in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. It's in a very rural area. And basically, it's just a clinic that we set up in a village. And so we help all the people in that locality, and people come from all over. It's actually massive. People travel for hours and hours and hours in the public transport to get there. And so we're seeing all sorts of cases. And so as I said, it's not for profit. So it's mostly run through donations. And so we do charge a tiny bit a fee to the patients, but it's not enough to cover the cost. It's more to otherwise a lot of the patients they don't respect the medicine if they get it for free.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, you need that energy exchange.
Yes, or they might think that it's sort of witchcraft, because I think nobody trusts anything that they get for free, especially here. So if we make them pay it, then they take it and they respect it a bit better and that sort of thing. So it's mostly, it's all run on donations. This is really the most incredible place to be. There's such an amazing energy there. It's really wonderful to be part of. So I started off, just volunteering. And because all my stuff's online for India, I had a lot of sort of other time I could schedule myself quite well. So then I found myself just spending more and more time there, and I would work there during the day, and I get up early, I do my Indian work in the morning, or I do it in the evening. And then after a while, they said, would you like to be part of the actual team, And because I got on really well with all the doctors there, and it was just an incredible community. So now I spend a lot of time there. We generally open about 2 or 3 weeks a month. It's not full time yet because it does cost a lot to be open. There's a lot of salaries to pay for all the staff that help out there. So at the moment, it's 2 to 3 weeks a month that we open, and we're seeing patients.
Amazing. And is it just homeopathic practitioners or other practitioners as well?
It's just homeopathy at the moment, yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. And what sort of cases do you see there?
So the public health system is really, really not great. And these people don't have transport. They can't get to hospitals. If they get to the hospital, they're told to wait. They literally sleep outside the hospital on benches for like days. There's stories of sort of patients helping other patients to like splint broken arms and these sorts of things, because they just don't get any healthcare in the rural areas. There's a clinic, but it's really it's not great at all. So the sorts of, we see literally everything, and it's quite a shock as well. The foundation is sort of Swiss backed, so there are a lot of people from Switzerland. So we also get students, doctors who come out from Switzerland, who come and they come and see patients now.
Oh, wow.
And I think they get the biggest shock.
Yeah, I can imagine. You're not going to see that in Switzerland. All right.
Yeah, so we get like patients with, their blood pressure is just shocking. You see like 200 over 120 and things like this. Swiss people nearly die. Because if it's over 150, it's like a medical emergency.
Yeah.
So here it's shocking. We have like the blood sugars over 20, sometimes.
Wow.
The first time I saw
strong
one
in
over 20,
Africa.
Yeah. And the patients are sitting there smiling. They're so happy to be seen and that someone's listening to them. And,
Wow.
and you wondering how they haven't sort of collapsed yet. It's really incredible. So we see a lot of very, very severe cases like that. We also get the sort of standard sort of back pain, knee pain, all these things. It's a tough life. They really have it difficult out there. So we see the whole spectrum of cases.
Wow. And I mean, most people in South Africa speak English, hey? So do you ever need a translator, or do most of them speak English?
Oh, they hardly speak any English.
Oh,
it's
really?
very rural.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they speak Zulu.
Mm-hmm.
We also get some people from sort of like because it's quite close to the Mozambican border. So they also some people from there. They speak a bit of Zulu and Portuguese and sort of get through it. So so it's a big community-based project as well. It's all about empowering the community. So it works out quite well, because then we have people from the community who come and we employ them as translators.
Oh, wow.
We have nurses, there are people working. So it's a really nice project as well. So we have the translators, we train them, and they help us out a lot. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. I was just recently chatting with Rebecca Stirrup, who's one of the volunteers for Homeopathy for Health in Africa. And she was saying, like they've obviously got their translators, but you do kind of use a little bit of, it's like a charades, a few little, hand gestures and things like that. Yeah, very interesting. I obviously coming from Cape Town, we spoke Xhosa down there. So I still remember Uvula Ncwadi, that means open your book. That's all I remember. And Usapila Njani, that means how are you going? And Inja, that's dog.
Yes.
And Vula and Vala is open and close. That's all I remember. Yeah. But I think, so you guys learned Zulu at school, hey?
Yes, we did do it, but not really to deal with the situation.
Yeah.
And it's also sort of like a very sort of pure Zulu as well. It's very rural areas. They don't have any sort of English mixing in as well sometimes.
Yeah. And I think my husband's from a different part of South Africa. Again, he's more Freiburg. And so he learned Sotho, I think. So, beautiful languages. It's so lovely to listen to. It's gorgeous. I do miss that.
Well, it's really incredible, because in the mornings as well, every morning they come and they sing and they pray before it starts. And it's the most incredible thing to hear them singing in the morning before it starts, the clinic. That's my favorite time of the day.
I wonder if they would ever let you, culturally, I don't know what the, rules are, but it would be amazing to take a video sometime and we can upload it onto the YouTube channel for our listeners to see, or maybe even one day do like a little live, video when you're out there, like we've done with Rebecca, just so people can see what's happening, and just seeing where homeopathy is reaching and all the different people there.
No, we can definitely do that. They love, giving testimonials and videos. They love that.
Oh, cool.
So we can do the live streaming might be difficult because the signal's not so great.
Oh, really?
But,
amazing.
There's not much connection, but videos are easy to do. Yeah.
Incredible. So, and if people want to donate to this organization, how do they get in touch?
So the website is in the show notes. They can just Google Khula Natural Health Center, and they can go there, and there's a Back About It page, and they can donate.
Excellent.
And just get in touch as well. We can discuss it and see how you can help best, because there's so many possibilities. Yeah.
And do you know what? I've had a couple of emails of people asking me, where are the show notes? So do you know what? I'm going to give the web address just for those people that don't know where the show notes are. It's khula.org. So khula.org if you want to get in touch and find out more and donate. Excellent. So great, Kyle, is there any last message that you want to leave our listeners with? What sort of message would you like to share with them about homeopathy? Also share with them how they can get hold of you personally and whether you're still taking on new clients, but just leave our listeners with the last little message of what you want to, bring out to
Mm.
them?
Well, I just think from my own personal experience with everything that I've seen in India and now here at Khula is just the power of homeopathy. It's really just the most incredible thing. I've seen, just incredible cases which have just gotten so much better with just homeopathy. And it works also with other modalities as well. But just the power of homeopathy is so incredible. And especially to the homeopaths, I really encourage them to invest in themselves and to educate themselves as much as they can to be the best homeopath that they can be. And I think it's really such a rewarding job. The more you learn, the more rewarding it is. It's really incredible. So that's sort of my main message, I think. Yeah.
And how can
And
people get hold of you?
yes, so they can just email me. It's wulfiek@gmail.com. They can contact me, and if they're interested in any of these aspects that we spoke about, they're welcome to
Amazing.
contact me.
Oh, well, I've been looking for a homeopath to refer people to because I have clients or friends and, family in South Africa that are looking for a homeopath. So I'm excited to be in touch with you. And hopefully I'll get to join you in India in a couple of years' time when my kiddies are a bit bigger.
Yes, or even here in South Africa, either way.
Yeah. It was lovely to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Sure. Thank you for having me.